I am ready. Hey, mothers and daughters, I've got a fun one for you today. Okay, I'm going to be talking about some movies that I've reviewed in the last 90 days. These movies so happen to come from Netflix. A lot of you already know I don't have a lot of channels on TV. I have access to Hulu, I have access to HBO, and I have access to Netflix and YouTube. That is it. I don't have local channels that do not have cable, haven't for 7 to 10 years, and cut the cord a long time ago. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at some of the playlists, we actually did a show on cutting the cord. Well, today I have a great presentation for you, and I am not going to be giving spoilers away. I'm not going to be giving away all the details. I'm just going to be telling you what I thought, what I personally thought about this particular movie. By the way, I have I have about 9 or 10 that I'm gonna tell you about. You might not know about them, but after tonight, you're gonna know about them. And I'm excited about that because I didn't know about them until I started being nosy and looking at them. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Mother Daughter Ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn
And Aungelique.
from the 713 Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today.
I love that intro. Every time I hear that intro, let me tell you what happens when I hear that intro. When I hear that intro, it reminds me of how much sweat equity we put into it. And that makes me very, very happy because if we had not put the sweat equity into it, then we would not be able to share it with you, which is why I'm going to ask you for one little small favor. And that little small favor is to just simply ask you to please share our podcast with every woman on the planet that you know. I know you know a lot of women. Share it with every woman on. We created this podcast and this process for every woman on the planet. The reason I say that is because either you're a woman or if you're a woman on the planet, you're either a daughter or you're a mother. So that's why I'm going to ask you to please share our podcast. And if you'd like to support us, guess what? We do have CashApp. It's $MDI shows. We do have book clubs. We have mastermind groups. We also have an email if you'd like to advertise or sponsor us. Here we go.
Hey, mothers and daughters, here at the MDI, which is Mother Daughter Ish Show. We'd love for you to support us by joining us over on Instagram at Mother Daughter Ish _ Join our book club and our mastermind groups. And if you are interested in advertising your woman-owned business, contact us at contactmdishows@gmail.com. Hey, come on and join our movement.
I love that commercial as well because it gives a little bit of insight on how we'd like for you to support us. And, sometimes what I've learned is that people don't support you because they don't really know how to support you. They don't know what you need. But here's how we've made it so easy. You can support us without spending a dime because you subscribing to our show is supportive to us. You sharing our show with people that may want to be, longtime viewers, that supports our show. So all of that is important when you not only share the podcast, but when you talk about it with your friends and things like that, that supports us. So we really, really like the support. And I know for a fact tonight, when you hear what I have to say about these amazing movies that I've watched, you are going to get a pen and paper and you're going to go watch these movies as well because they were just so interesting. Okay, I'm getting ready to start it. So listen up so you can have something to watch the weekend. Listen. I will not be watching the Super Bowl again. I don't have regular TV to watch it. The other reason I won't be watching the Super Bowl is because I really don't like sports. I don't like any type of sports. My kids will tell you that, especially my boys. But I am not a sports lover. I do love people who play sports because I think that's a very courageous, brave body painstaking thing to do, but I could not just sit and watch a sport game. And it's not just because I dislike it so much, even though I do, but it's because I don't understand it. And my spirit says that I don't even want to learn it. So it just doesn't give me any excitement. So the first one that I'll talk about is the Vikings from Valhalla. If you have ever heard me say anything on this podcast about what I like when it pertains to the male persuasion, I love cavemen. I love Vikings. I love kings and wildebeests. I just love a rugged man who takes control, can chop down a tree, cut up the wood, start the fireplace, cook the meat that he caught, milk the whatever. I love a caveman type of guy. My son used to tell me when he was younger, he would say, "Mama, you always love lumberjacks." He would always say that. It's like, you love lumberjacks. I'm gonna get started with the Vikings of Valhalla. So I ran across this movie because I was looking for something as I was in my living room working on something, and I saw it come across the screen, and I was just like, these guys look pretty good, you know? I mean, that was literally my thought process. There are several different types of genres of movies I like. I love comedy romance movies. I love Viking type stories. I like kings and queen type stories. I like movies like the Bridgerton series. I love sappy stories that have meaning behind them. I love rom-coms with my favorite people like Jennifer Aniston or somebody like that. I love murder mysteries that are fun and have a fun part to it, not just the murder part, because I'm not into those type of movies, but I do like those types. So let's talk first about the cast. So I knew none of this cast hardly. The main character is Leo Sutter, and he is known as Harold. The girl character is Frida Gustafsson, which is on there as Frida's. I can't even say these last names. They're just so way back in whatever year that was. And that's the one thing I didn't get a chance to get was what year were they Vikings in. So maybe you'll catch it if you watch it. Laura Berlin was in it. Sam Corlett. Know his face, but can't pick up like what else he played in. Pollyanna McIntosh. I knew her face, couldn't pick up what else I knew her in. And then Bradley Freegard. I'm just gonna go with the top ones that were on there, but these characters really warmed my heart and literally caught my attention. So right off the bat, I was like, oh yeah, I like this group of people. And so that made me very, very happy to watch the Vikings of Valhalla. There was some of everything in there. There was birth, there was sadness, there was romance, there was affairs, there was some scenes that I can't mention. There was some killing of animals, there was some building of homes, there was some brotherly rivalry, there was some jealousy, everything. My next movie is Glass Onion. Now Glass Onion was very, very, very interesting because it had some characters that I really love. You know, I've been wondering for a while, what else was I gonna see James Bond in? My James Bond, he is not my original love of James Bond. That was Sean Connery, of course, but I grew to love this particular James Bond after he was James Bond for at least 2 of the shows. And then after that, I said, okay, I guess they're sticking with this. So I kind of got into it. Now, Pierce Brosnan was one of my favorites that I kind of latched on to him. But when he left and Daniel Craig came, I just did not know if I was going to latch on to him. But I eventually did. And by the time I started to like him, he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So the cast of this show is Madeline Klein, of course, Daniel Craig. Now I'm going in order of how they are on the IMDb, so that tells you who got paid the most money. Daniel Craig is number 2, Kate Hudson is number 3, and Jessica Henwick. And then you had Edward Norton. He is funny. He is the sneakiest, little funniest thing to me. Reminds me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off type of dudes. Catherine Hahn, Janelle Monáe. I was so excited to see her in something other than black. She on her photo she had on on red and some other colors. She is such a lovely young lady. You know, Janelle Monáe taught me something that I love to repeat. I say it different than what she said, but somebody had said something about her looking too manly or something at one time. And I love what she said. She said, well, they asked her if she cared about what they were saying. And she said, no, because I'm not for male consumption. And I don't really know, I don't want to read into what that really, really, really meant, because that's not my business. But I started saying in my mind, like when people say, you know, negative things or whatever, and I have to remind myself, I'm not for public consumption. In other words, whatever you have to say about me, that's your business. I don't care. However you feel about me, that is up to you how you feel. That has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? So when she said, I'm not for male consumption, I said, oh, I'm not for public consumption. So I like Janelle Monáe for that. There's been a lot of people that have said certain little things that stick with me. And it's like, I'll repeat those things and remember exactly where I got it from. Ethan Hawke was in it. I was happy to see him. I haven't seen him in a while. I know he's been in things. I'm saying I haven't seen him. Dave Bautista was in it. Leslie Odom was in it. I was happy to see him. Angela Lansbury, they had some things in there about her, because you know that she's no longer with us, but they mentioned some things about her. Natasha Lyonne, I think you say it Leone or Leone. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he was hilarious, so sneaky. Hugh Grant was in it. Yo-Yo Ma was in it. I mean, there were so many funny people. There was an appearance by Serena Williams. There was an appearance by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was so peppered with so many things. Okay, so I like the way it started off, because it started off about like this little murder mystery party, right? But then the people get there to the action, and you could tell they were all just a little bit shady. Again, I'm not giving away anything specific about how anything's going to end or who's going to do what. I'm just telling you the fun stuff that it made me feel for it, that made me happy that I was able to watch it. But when it first came on and I saw the ensemble of people that were going to go to this murder mystery island, I was so excited. The other thing I was excited about is the twists and the turns. Like as soon as I said, okay, this is it, it was like, oh, nope, that's not it. And it was proven that wasn't it. But it was just so many twists and turns. The other thing I liked about it is because right in the middle part, I was starting to get confused, actually. But they did something that I usually don't like, but liked here. You see Janelle looking beautiful in her red. And again, she said that she used to always wear the black and white because that was to honor her mother and father who worked in the service industry, and they always wore black and white to serve other people. So anyway, what I liked about it is that they did a rewind right in the middle of the movie to show you this is why this is going in all the twists and turns that it's going in, simply because there's something dynamic that's happening here. And because at some point I was so confused, like, well, how did that happen? And how did she do that? So it was so good. Please watch Glass Onion. Now, they're telling me this was a part 2. I never saw a part 1, but I'm glad I got a piece of the action to be able to see it. So definitely check out Glass Onion on Netflix. This next movie is so funny because it brought back something that I remembered when my girls were young. My one was in middle school, one was in high school. And the middle schooler would always love to have these back to school parties and, you know, with the high school type shows. But then there was that singing show, and this guy was always in that show. I mean, I was drugged to the movie theater so many countless times to see the show. And I can't think of it now, or the main girl that used to be in it. But I like him as a character. I think that, you know, he has come a long way. Adam Devine, he has come a long way as far as keeping his likability, in my opinion. Again, everything I'm saying right now is just my opinion and how I felt about the movies that I watched. So what I'm saying is not definitive or anything like this. Just me sharing with you what I liked about the movies. The name of this movie is called Jexi. It's Jexi. Freaked me out because even just a few minutes ago, when I gathered all my little tools to put together in my podcast studio, I grabbed my phone a certain kind of way, and Suri says, "Hold on, I didn't get that. Can you please repeat?" First of all, I never asked her anything. Second of all, I didn't realize I had pressed the button. Third of all, it freaked me out because I'm home alone. So it was like, who told you to talk? Because I'm going to tell you right now, there have been times where my alarm has gone off on my phone 3 o'clock in the morning, and I grab my phone a certain kind of way. Because see, now the way they have the iPhone 13, you don't have the home button in the middle anymore on the glass part. Everything is press both sides to take a picture, press both sides to turn the phone off if you hold it down, press another side and hold it down if you want to talk to Siri. Haven't really gotten used to all of that because I don't use Siri. Every now and then, if I need maps or directions or something, I might use one of the apps on there, but I just don't really use it. So again, our cast in this was Adam Devine, Alexandra Shipp, Rose Byrne, love Rose Byrne. Have loved her in movies for a long time. Now, I need clarification for you. When I say I love a character, there's only one character I can say I love, but that I don't know. Literally. But when I say I love them, I mean I love the characters that they've presented. They've never disappointed me in a movie, and I'll go see anything that they're in pretty much. Michael Pena was in it. Wanda Sykes was in it. Kid Cudi was in it. Hear that? Justin Hartley was in it, and Richard Harder was in it. So that's the cast for it. It was a very eclectic cast, I felt, and I felt like it was so much fun. There were so many twists and turns. What caught my attention about this movie is that it was so real. What I mean when I say it was so real is that these things are already happening and are already kind of being test run on us. Like Suri just popping on if you grab the phone the wrong way is just absolutely crazy. Have you ever just been like pulling your phone out of your bag, your backpack, your computer bag, your purse, ladies? Have you ever been doing that and it just dials a number? And then you hear somebody screaming, hello? Hello. I mean, if I can only tell you how many times a month I either accidentally call my mother or she accidentally calls me, it's the funniest thing ever, let me tell you. I don't mean to do it, but some kind of way, even when I had a passcode on my phone, it would bypass the darn passcode and it would dial people's number. I could not stand it. It used to annoy me so bad. If you get a chance to watch Jexi, it's basically about a guy who got a new cell phone he didn't want when he went kicking and screaming like me. And then the cell phone tried to take over its life because the AI that was in it was crazy and was in love with him. So anyway, Jexi, very, very much, very, very fun. Okay. It is one of those things that you'll look at and go, oh my gosh, this is happening right now today. This is not so far-fetched as you may think that it is. Okay, so check out Jexi. Again, everything I'm talking about today is on Netflix, so definitely check it out. Now, after you see Jexi, if any of these things happen to you, don't say I didn't tell you, because these same things happened to me with my cell phone. The next movie I saw was Enola Holmes. I was a little bit upset when I found out about Enola Holmes. If you look at Enola backwards, it spells what? Alone. When they said that in the movie, I was so sad for her. But then I understood why they said that, because she was so different that people were just so leery of her, and she was so busy trying to figure stuff out that she just didn't have time. The other thing is, I did not know that she was Sherlock Holmes. So first of all, that just upset me to say it again. Enola Holmes is the sister of Sherlock Holmes. I never knew he had a sister. Look at that gorgeous face that played Sherlock Holmes in there. Look to the other side and look at those gorgeous faces of those ladies that played in there. This is what I'm telling you. The cast was absolutely amazing. So Enola was played by Millie Bobby Brown. Doesn't she look gorgeous right there? I mean, like, this is not the same little girl that brought her beautiful little face to us that looked like a little baby in what's a Stranger Things. This is not the same little girl. On here, she was so freaking mature. She was gorgeous. Her clothing fit her perfectly. She was so simple but smart at the same time. So Millie Bobby Brown is Enola. Now they told me part 2. And I said, because I have a stickler, I don't want to see part 2 or 3. This is why I didn't get the chance to go to the movies and see the Avatar movie, because I didn't see part 1. I never had seen Black Panther and had to go watch Black Panther before the movie came out so that I could go and enjoy it without having way too many questions. And I would have had too many questions now that we no longer have Chadwick Boseman. I would have been so confused. But what I did is I went onto Netflix and I looked for Enola Holmes part 1, and I found it. So I got a chance to watch part 1. And then, of course, it bleeds right into part 2 as you watch it. But look at that. Enola Holmes, her name spelled backwards is Alone. So I was just like, oh, that's cute. I saw it and then I heard them say it and I went, oh, so I'm not just weird. So Millie Bobby Brown, I told you that gorgeous face of Sherlock Holmes was played by Henry Cavill. We know him. We love Henry Cavill's movies that he's played in. Louis Partridge was in it, and he was an interest of hers. And he played a guy with a name that I just can't even pronounce. And then Helena Bonham, Helena Bonham, I think they call her Elena or something like that, but it's Helena Bonham to me. And then David Thewis was in it, and that's funny because the guy Lewis that played it, his last name was the Whiskey Bari. So I was like, okay, he's naming kind of, of himself. But Enola Holmes was fun. It had so many twists and turns. It had so much rebellion in it. It had so much fun in it. It had so much character in it. She was absolutely just gorgeous, and just Millie Bobby Brown played that part. You hear me? I want to see her in more movies like that. So I hope they do an Enola Holmes 3, 4, 5, whatever. Now I'm in. You got me right now. You got me so good with this one. And the fact that I never knew about it was just like, how dare them trick me with how dare them trick me with such a good show and not tell me that this is on there? Because, I kind of blame Netflix, and I'm going to tell you why. Because, see, Netflix is supposed to have all of your likes. And so they're supposed to refer other things to me so that I would know, oh, you know how when you press that button that says watch other movies that are like that? Why didn't you refer this to me, Netflix? You know this is right up my alley, and I would have loved this particular movie. So I'm not sure why you did that to me, but I'm gonna have to blame it on you because that's what's left. I enjoyed the period piece that the movie was presented in. I enjoyed the clothing, the hairstyles, the faces of the characters, the inquiries, the fact that they explained a little bit about the printing press and how they made newspapers back in the day. Listen, I can't watch anything I can't learn something from. If I'm not learning from it, I'm not watching, which is why I've never been a good candidate to watch reality shows. I've never been a good candidate. This next movie was, now when you watch it, you're going to say, Dawn is crazy. This next movie was so sexy to me that I was rooting for infidelity. This is how sexy the movie was. And that's a shame that I'm saying that. But the movie was just so good, they sold it to me. You know what I'm saying? The name of the movie is The Empress. The Empress was so interesting to me that they laid it out so well that they had me thinking that what they were doing was okay, and it was absolutely not okay. There, in this movie, there was infidelity. There was a disabled husband that was being cheated on, but he gave his wife permission to do it. Then when she went and did it, he got upset. There's some twists and turns about how all of that happened. There's a big bonus in it as to say, wow, they went that far. There was lying, and there was deceit, and there was sneaking around, and that was nudity. Of course, all of these shows except Enola have a little bit of some kind of nudity. I have to mention that in case you think you're going to sit down and watch it with your kids, you might not want to do that. But in the movie, I didn't know a lot of the characters, which makes me happy when I don't know the characters, because I can get to know the characters. I'm so much more willing nowadays to get to know the characters than to say, oh, that's my same, blah, blah, blah. I won't say any names, but some of the characters we see in these movies all the time. So you have a character by the name of Deverin Lingrina, and she was Elizabeth, the main character. Then you've got Philip Frostiant. Then you've got Malika Foriantan. And I knew that face, but I couldn't remember what else she played in because she looks like another character that I know of. You got Johannes Nussenbahn. You've got Almila Bagniak. I mean, These are definitely actors and actresses from other countries because the names were just like, what? You've got Svenja, and that's Svenja, so y'all think I'm not crazy. You've got Svenja Jean. You've got Alyssa Scolet. I think it's important for me to list the characters in case you're like, oh yeah, I know that character. They played in, so that's why I'm listing the characters. And then you've got Jordish Tridel. Again, this was another period piece that I enjoyed. The clothing, I enjoyed the woman empowerment, the woman empowerment in this movie. I enjoyed her boldness. I enjoyed her beauty. Yes, I thought she was very beautiful. I like when I think of beauty, I like a simple beauty. I like a simple classic beauty that you don't have to do very much to just be. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to have eyelashes out to the world. You don't have to have on a whole lot of war paint. You don't have to do a lot to just be beautiful. And I thought she was a simple beauty. And I also thought that she was bold because of the things that she did. You'd have to be bold. I like that the guy that she was cheating around with was very super sexy. I know that's a shame to say that, but again, look at this dress that this young lady has on. I would absolutely wear that to a ball. Look at the outfit that the lady next to her has on. I would actually wear that to a kings and queen type of period piece ball. I mean, let me tell you something. Don't think that I wouldn't, because I would. In these movies, what I like is how dapper the men look. I like the fact that they wore a lot of clothes. And so go and check out The Empress. Okay, I gotta tell you, I ended up watching this next movie on pure accident because I was home alone one night and just was like, I want to watch something that is just completely off my radar, that I don't know anything about at all. I wouldn't know it if it came up to, pop me in the face. You know what I'm saying? So this, I have found that I am rather enjoying some of the adult cartoons that are on television. When I was a young girl, I loved waking up to watch cartoons. I'll give you a few of the cartoons that I used to love. I used to love the Barbie cartoon. I used to love the Pac-Man cartoon. I used to love the Smurfs. I used to love what's the one? Jet something in the Jets. Josie and the Jets. Scooby-Doo is still my boy. Let me tell you something. I did a Scooby-Doo marathon one day, and it made me the happiest all day long with everything I was doing. I loved Tom and Jerry. Those were my top ones that I really, really, really loved when I was younger. Now that Pac-Man cartoon was hitting. I know y'all probably don't think so, but the Pac-Man cartoon was really hitting. The Smurf people were blue. The age that I am now, I get all of that now. I get all of the imagery now. I get all of the warning now. Now the warning to me from the Smurfs is there's possibly blue people that live in the under earth. Look at the Jetsons. It wasn't one of my favorite cartoons. I'll tell you why. It wasn't one of my favorite cartoons because I didn't think any of that was possible. I didn't live in a world where somebody told me, yeah, that's possible, or where somebody said, it is absolutely possible that we could have flying cars one day, or we could have flat screen TVs or curved flat screen TVs or Zoom phone calls. I have already decided that in the next month or so, probably when the spring hits, that I am going to do a breakdown of the Jetsons and list all of the 100 items that were on there that we absolutely use today. It is absolutely crazy. If you've ever heard of body contouring right now, they had a body contouring machine in there. I literally sat there and watched 21 episodes. I think they have a total of 21 or so episodes, and all of them I just had to start writing down. Oh my gosh, that's imagery. But when I saw the curved flat screen TV from 1957, I was so done. I said, okay, I want to look up and see who is the creator of this cartoon. And I had to dig into a little bit of history because I needed to know what alien came down and gave you this blessing and told you what was going to happen in the future in, however many years. You know what I'm saying? So like I was so confused because the things that they were talking about on there was 20 years before I was even born. So that means if I'm 50 now, plus 20, because it was 1950s, I was born in 72. That means that's 72 to 75 years old that we now see these things already in fruition. So it's very interesting. But I ran across this little cartoon, and when I tell you it was the most fun, and I watched all of the seasons 1 and 2. I didn't even know there was a season 1. But the Chicago Party Aunt, when I tell you she was full of shenanigans, and when I tell you she was full of badness, like she was the aunt that you would not allow your children to go with, yet and still her sister allowed the nephew to live there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's so corrupting nephew. Funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. The jokes were not too crappy. There was not a lot of nasty innuendos like in a lot of other cartoons. But when I tell you the Chicago Party Aunt, she knowed how to party. She knowed how to get a man. She knowed how to hustle up and get food. She knew how to keep a place to live. She knew how to gather people around. She knew how to cleverly do things behind your back. She knew how to do so much. And she was a hairstylist. She had friends. She had people who respected her, even though she was you know what, crazy. Like, I was looking forward to every episode. What kind of shenanigans is she going to get into and get everybody else in trouble with her? If you're looking for something that's not going to cause you to think too hard, definitely try the Chicago Party Aunt. I'm looking for season 3. I'm looking to see what else is she about to get into. I'm looking to see how things are going to play out for this cartoon. I never heard of it. How did it get to a cartoon part 2? So I'm thinking it must have come from somewhere else. The final movie that I am going to do a review on today, after I do the cast listing, is You People. So You People, of course, came out about a week or so ago. Eddie Murphy is the main character in it. Jonah Hill is in it. Lauren London is in it. We love to see her. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was the star of the show. I don't care what anybody says. She was the star of the show. Eddie Murphy came second. You know, Jonah Hill and Lauren London were a pivotal part, but they came third. Nia Long came fourth. I'm using Lauren London and Jonah Hill because they were a couple. I'm using them as one. So it was Julia Louise Dreyfus, Lauren London, and Jonah Hill. Then number 3 came Eddie Murphy. Okay, let me get this together. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was number 1 character. Eddie Murphy was number 2 character. Number 3 character was Lauren and Jonah. Number 4 was Nia Long. And, you know, it's a good thing I really like her, because I really would have put David Duchovny before her. Because let me tell y'all something. When I first experienced, because I never watched his NCI or Alien or whatever show he used to do with a police thing, I never knew him from that. I knew he played on it, but those are not my kind of shows, so I never watched it. But when I saw him in Californication, that's another show if you want to go back and binge watch. Californication was everything that you should not know anything about, but because it was so good, you got sucked in. It's kind of like Ray Donovan. Remember Ray Donovan? Ray Donovan was bad to the bone, but you know, this is why I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm going to go ahead and confess. I don't watch a lot of TV because it causes you to sin. You know what I mean? And I'm not even trying to be, it's called programming for a reason. It literally does program your brain, because when I was watching Californication, I knew I had no business watching it. There was so much debauchery and sex and everything that you should not ever be watching. Even at my age, you shouldn't even be involved in. There was so much drugs. There was just everything. Infidelity, it was ridiculous. Californication was ridiculous, but I loved that show. Just like Ray Donovan, no matter how much this man cheated on his wife, which is at least 3 times per episode, I still wanted him and his wife to be together. I still wanted her to just forgive him and say, well, that's just what Ray do. I know that's so ridiculous and so wrong, but because they sold the character so well, was like, I don't ever want this family to break up. This is just a part of what Ray does. And so I eventually had to give it up, because I realized that it was messing with my brain process. You know, when your mind is telling you this is crazy, that's wild, that's wrong, and you go, yeah, but I love it, then that's when you know you need to back away. So again, we got Eddie Murphy, we got Jonah Hill, we got Lauren London, we got Louis Julia Louis-Dreyfus, these three named people, Nia Long, and then we have Kenya Burris is the producer of the show, and then you have David Duchovny, which again I like him very much in movies. So when I heard that this movie was coming out, I wasn't skeptical at all, simply because Eddie Murphy's name was on it. I didn't find out until a couple of weeks later at the advertising, them talking about it, that Nia Long was the wife on here. I just know that I am all the way on board with Eddie Murphy coming back into the movie scene. I don't care if it's Shrek. I don't care if it's Dr. Dolittle Part 45. I don't care if it's Coming to America Part 3. I don't coming back to America. I don't care. Anything that Eddie Murphy wants to play in, I am all in, because I grew up watching Eddie Murphy. I was watching Eddie Murphy comedy things before I was even supposed to be really watching them. I still remember Delirious and everything else. Even when he did Dolomite, last year, year before, I was all in. I mean, also Wesley Snipes was in it, and anyway, I enjoyed watching that movie. Right here tells you what a good looking cast they were. The background is beautiful. Everything was just crispy. That's the only word I can use. Everything was crispy and perfect. The homes that they played in, everything was just crispy and nice, and I loved that. I loved the interactions. I loved the thought-provoking. Let me tell you something. Some people say, well, we feel like they were using certain people to make certain points. It was so disrespectful, what happened in the movie. I'm not going to give it away again. Like I said, so disrespectful for this to happen, and those people wouldn't have did that to their religious leaders or what. And I did not get that invested, okay, in the movie in that way that I felt like I wanted to judge everybody from that. I just couldn't invest myself that way, because I knew for a fact that I wanted to invest myself in the characters that I liked, like Lauren London, like Eddie Murphy. Like, Neil didn't play a big part, so that wasn't even a big deal. But I knew that I did not want to invest myself in the negative part in it. What I actually watched it for was to check myself. Okay? The reason I needed to check myself without saying too many things is because some of the same scenarios that happened in this movie are some of the same feelings I've expressed, some of the same things I've said on the cool, if you know what that means. Some of the same feelings that I've had about certain things and people. I could lie and say, oh, no, I've never thought that way. But I would be, again, a LIE. And I'm just not in the mood to go there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to either tell the truth, or we don't even need to be discussing anything or talking, because, once you start lying, then you have to keep lying. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a big job that I'm not interested in. But I have been myself in situations that I saw in this movie. I'll go ahead and also make another confession. I saw it twice. You can ask any one of my children. They will tell you, when I watch a movie, it's hard for me to watch it again within 5 years. I got to really, really, really like it. And there's only been a handful that I could do that too. Okay. This one, I watched it twice. I watched it one day while I was in the studio working, and I was paying about 90% attention to it, but it made me cry, it made me laugh. And I was checking myself from the moment the movie came on to the end where the love scene was there. It was like a full body check. I'm not going to be very, very specific on certain things, but if you see the show and you know which characters I relate mostly to, then you get what I'm saying. I don't have to be specific. You have common sense. I trust you. I loved that they put Jonah and Lauren together, because these are literally the type of couples I see all the time. Everybody's not always perfect. Sometimes the guy is not perfect and the girl is gorgeous. Sometimes the girl is not perfect, but the guy is the most gorgeous guy. I love watching people. So for me, it's very exciting. I love watching couples, especially And when I say watch, I'm not saying I stare at them and act weird, but when I'm out at the mall or I am at a location or I am just minding my own business and I see couples, I always wonder, I wonder how they met. I wonder what their family dynamics is. I wonder what their hopes and dreams are as far as like together, like we together have decided that we're going to live off grid because XYZ, we want to raise a farm, we're going to raise our children away from public schools and, dirty water and all these type of things. So I get curious about those type of things. On the flip side, I don't watch any of those reality shows that have couples in them. I don't watch any of those YouTube or Instagram channels that couples, talk about their lives and do all kind of silly things for clicks and views. I don't watch any of that. This movie, again, like I said, it was interesting because it was real world. And I also feel like those who felt like it was a dig at certain things and certain people and certain traditions and religions and clothing items and things like that, I also feel like it was not that deep. I hate to say it, but it just wasn't that deep. The other thing I liked is that they brought the sneakerhead thing in and that they kind of presented that because there was something there for people my age and older. There was something there for the 20s to the 40-year-olds. There was something there for the young kids who love sneakers and who are not into the fancy dress up that would literally wear a tie-dye outfit like Jonas, like a full-grown man with a tie-dye outfit on with a hoodie with his hands in the pocket in public. What was so cute, you notice how they almost matched her hat to his tie-dye. So I noticed all those kind of things. And then, they had the sneakerhead and the flip-flop thing in here. And it's always a joke. I always tell people, it's so funny how we sometimes go to we sometimes go to the grocery store. We'll have on I'll sometimes have on socks and flip-flops and some jogging pants and a t-shirt because I know I'm just running in to get 2 or 3 items and run out and pray and hope no one sees me. And I put a mask on and a hat just to make sure that nobody will even notice me, because when I go in, I go right into the produce area, get everything there, and I leave. I don't even go to the middle aisles anymore. Haven't been to the middle aisles of a grocery store in a long time. And I think that was because I was looking for some rice or some long grain rice, but I don't go to the middle of the aisles of any grocery stores anymore. I don't go in the back where the meat is, and I don't go over to the side where the water is. I get my water from a specific place. When I do go to the one grocery store that I like to get certain things from, I go only to the produce area or to pick up, cilantro, pico de gallo, those type of things, and maybe a little bit of fruit. Other than that, I don't even see the rest of the store. So I'm in and out in just a few minutes. That's why after everything was over and I didn't need to literally order my groceries and either have them delivered to the door or order my groceries and go pick them up, I made my life very easy by just walking in, get what I want and walking out, because COVID really did spoil me to not want to ever leave the house again. And I had to break out of that. But I feel like the first year we went through the issue, it was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the rules. The second year was like, I'm really getting sick of this and I'm going to have to figure out what's the safest way to do everything I still want to do within reason. The third year was like, I'm done. I'm getting out. I got my gloves. I have my mask. I have my hat. I don't have to touch and talk to people, but I'm getting out. I'm traveling. I'm going to the grocery store on my own. I'm going to pick my own fruit because nobody can pick fruit. Nobody can pick fruit like me. You know how you get that little attitude, but I really, 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 really hope that you will get a chance to go and that you would watch some of these movies. Now, I'm going to repeat them again, what they were. So the Vikings of Valhalla, then you have Glass Onion, Jexi, that's Jexi, Enola Holmes 1 and 2. Don't forget that. The Emperor, Chicago Party Aunt 1 and 2. And then You People. Now, one thing I will share with you is if you got a chance to see some of the shows that are coming back, like Emily in Paris came back. I'm going to bulk her into when I do the next review, which will be next month. I'll do probably I'll do Emily in Paris, I'll do Jenny in Georgia, and those type of things to just tell you what I felt about their next seasons, because out of all of the ones I just listed, on one of them, I might be out. I'm not going to say which one, but I might be out. I might be at the what they call the I think they call it like the wits end or whatever. But that's my review that I have on the movies that I have presented here to you today, and it has been such a pleasure. I'm not even being funny, but it has been such a pleasure to introduce these movies to you, because I know also that when you watch them, you are going to have an amazing time. Remember to support the show. Let me tell you how I can do it just as a complimentary act or action. Definitely make sure you are still subscribed, even if you already subscribed. Do it again. If it's red, you're not. I mean, if it's black, you're not. If it's white, you are. So click the little subscribe button. Make sure that you have your notifications on so you know when a show is coming to you. Most importantly, share this podcast with every woman on the planet that you know, love, and trust. If you'd like to advertise on our podcast, please give me a email description of what your product is. You do have to be a woman-owned business, or at least 100% woman-owned. You can have other staff, but that'll be contact mdishows@gmail.com. I have about 5 commercials that I'm working on right now that I need to get up. I've just solidified quite a few that I need to get up, and I have some things I want to present to you so that you can enjoy them too. I don't want to keep all this goodness to myself. Again, that is my show for today. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate it. And bye for now.